All right. I'm going to try this again. What I'm doing is I'm going to record the whole sequence from beginning to end to make a little character, a little 3D maquette in Nomad on the iPad. So I'm using the iPad Pro, got Nomad Sculpt, and I started the video. I got about 15 minutes in earlier, and my mom called, so I stopped and talked to her instead. It's probably a good thing because I got a little bit more organized with my thoughts, so I might be able to abbreviate that 15 minutes down to about 5 or so. So when I go to sculpt, a lot of times I just jump into the software and I'm looking at this ball and I just go make something real fast based on that. Like just having fun, pushing and pulling the clay around. Very often it's some kind of a creature or a monster, or you just get ideas, build from there, and you see things in the clay. And there's nothing wrong with that whole process. It's really cool and fun. You end up with cool stuff. It can be great. So that's its own thing. I'll make a video about that sometime too, because it's cool. But I notice a big difference when I go into a project with intent and purpose. And when I take time ahead of time to visualize what's happening in terms of a story, in terms of instead of just this, if I continued like this, I might end up with a character, like sort of a dragon, dog, beast kind of character. It might look really cool. I might paint it really cool. Might be great. But it would be sitting there and it would be independent of time and situation and all that. So if you go to do an image with a story in mind or a moment in mind, it automatically animates that character to that moment. And the best advice I ever got in that direction was to always look for 3 components and be able to write a sentence in English or whatever language you use of subject, action, and environment. What is it? What's it doing? Where is it doing it? And if you can answer those questions in a sentence, you're starting at a good point. And so the last video I did this, so subject, action, environment. And I wrote down goblin, astronaut, a robot, holding a scanner, scanning the environment on a grassy vignette with stones and flowers and garden. And then the sentence, a small goblin-like alien with robotic augmentation has just landed on a suspiciously happy flower planet. He uses his scanner to chart this strange realm. Okay, so that sentence is something I can start with, and it's not something I had before I sat down. Maybe I had something a little bit like that in mind. Obviously had something like that in mind if that's where I ended up, but I didn't consciously know that, and I couldn't have written that sentence without going through these steps, without saying subject, writing down some words, action, writing down some words, environment, writing down some words, thinking about it for a minute, putting it together into a sentence. And that gives me a really good starting point and a place where I can always come back to. If I lose track, if I get mired in detail, if I forget who this character is, I can come back to this. And if I need to, I can add to it. I can write another sentence with more descriptive detail. Right? I can build off of it. but this is the origin. This is what we're always coming back to. So it's worth it to take a little bit of time generating this. Do this a few times. I've done it so many times that I end up with cool stuff from this method. But okay, so that's my starting point. Small goblin-like alien, robotic augmentation, flowers, rocks. Got it. Got a place to start. So I'm using, in this instance, Painter, Infinite Painter, and I'm going to do 2 views of this guy. I've already got one down. And this is pretty much what I had in mind. You know, he's got this little space goblin guy. Didn't go into too much detail. It's more about just the attitude and pose. There's plenty to break down and think about in 3D there, but it pretty much makes sense design-wise. There's enough space that I can improvise a little bit. You know, I just sort of sketched in a robot arm. You know, maybe he can have a jazzier arm than that. There's some cool stuff added to it. I didn't quite want to do the scanner in the arm, so we'll see. I'm going to tweak it down a little bit more. It's a little bit tricky. Everyone says this, but it's a little bit tricky to talk and draw at the same time, but I'm going to try to. And so this would be stage 2 in the ideation. Let's look at the color. I think it's just picking up whatever. It's odd with this. It's good enough. It's fine. So let's get in there and do a side view really quick. I'm going to use the Proco pencil. And I'm going to use the basic information from the front view and sort of decide like how far does that lens come out? What does that antenna look like? And I can be loose. He's almost like a Ferengi. Let's make this look bulked out. Of course, since it's Infinite Painter, since it's digital, you can just select and alter any part of this. So you can kind of be free to make big loose marks. No, and you can hone it down. It's digital. That's the whole advantage. I'm trying to think about a center of gravity just a little bit. Little sort of feet buried down in the soft peat. It's got kind of a little lean forward. Other hand. It's almost in the same position. And this whole thing will be forgotten about in no time because we'll be deep into 3D model, and it'll have its own whole flavor, be in a whole different realm. I'm just trying to kind of think of it as 3D right now. Where would these things go? I want to flower like kind of here. This grass would come over. Maybe some leaves would come over. Open patch and then some more for the front. Just to vary it up. Little fist. Oops. Quite ready for that. So it's roughly a side view, and then I'm just going to do some quick fills. Let's see. I'm struggling to get this to work. Debris fill. Looks a little better, but I'm just going to sample the colors from the other one. More or less get the same feel. The values, it's not even colors, it's just values. It's nice to put down a base. It's like a mid, like this, and then push darker and lighter from there. It makes it pretty darn quick. And it gives you a nice silhouette. Kind of lets you correct any silhouette issues, really. And I really am beginning to think about this in terms of 3D, like in terms of sculpting it out. What are these pieces going to look like? Where are they going to go? How many sections am I going to want? Need? How does it all fit together? You know, there's just all that kind of stuff. I'm realizing that his robot hand would have to operate this little scanner unit. I guess that's his cross to bear. It's hard out there for a little goblin pirate. Think about where the light would hit everything. On the tops of forms. The shadows down in the lower parts. Circuit modulator. Actually, circuit white at some point. This won't take too long. It's just a little touch on top. So. Very high surfaces. We'll probably go with one pass for shadows under it all. It's kind of arbitrary whether you put in these darks or lights first, but sometimes I like doing the lights and mids and then shifting down to almost black. Looking under my shadows. Actually, this is a really good time to do another layer. And to make that layer a little bit transparent. And maybe not too high. Maybe a little more transparent. Because this lets you adjust where this new set of shadows goes. I want it right there. Okay, so now I know if I lay down a shadow, it's going to be that value. So I don't have any absolute blacks in there, but that's a good thing. So I'm just thinking about that 85% black. Giving myself little thoughts and hints about what might go in the 3D model, right? So that's always the end goal. Is that sculpted one. This isn't, the illustration's pretty cool and it can actually be turned into a nice painting. But that's not what I'm doing right now. I guess I'm thinking about whether I want to do a color version or just leave it alone. Maybe one more layer with just the darkest darks. So. Just make it transparent. Black is just too harsh. It's just too heavy for almost anything. Solid zero black is really too harsh. Like these nice gradients. Of course, none of this matters because it's going to be lit in 3D. It matters. It matters because it's It's the plan, it's the blueprint. But this is all going to be lit in 3D. And the software, his anatomy is going to be cooler. His technology is going to be cooler. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to sketch some of that in there. It's kind of like his arm and his chest. This should be definitely robotic all across there. Maybe it looks cool anyway. It gives a little extra curve over there. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, well, this is pretty close to what I was after. Maybe just like some. It's all going to come through the model. You know, I can't promise I'm going to get all this done in one video. I'm going to try to get. We'll stay up for a little while. Try to do a bunch of. I was thinking maybe some kind of glyph carved into the rock. Just to make it a little bit interesting. He beamed down into a graveyard. Yeah, that would be cool. If that happened, you could have some little hints of buried treasure underneath them. So I like this. It's modelable. It's definitely doable. I'm going to export it and bring it in as a background in Nomad and start thinking about it in terms of primitives. So let's export that. PNG. No background. Well, just save image. brand new scene. Do a reference image. Add one for photos. It's going to be right there. We can make it larger. We can scoot it over. We can make it transparent. That's kind of what I like to do, just knock it back. Now we have that little dude to work from. We can start doing any part of this. And I feel like I want to do that base first. Give him a platform, do the flowers, do the stone. Just sort of get that out of the way and start modeling that way, just to know physically where he's at. That's a big part of it. I wonder if I got the scale right. Like maybe the ground should be bigger in the end product. But that's completely variable. I can make that any size that I want to. So, all right, to do this ground, I'm going to make a new sphere. I'm going to look at the wireframe. I want to make it I don't know if I'm doing this right, honestly. That's good. Yeah, that's what I want. This is my new sphere. I didn't make the last one invisible. This is nice. This is probably a little nicer. So to start the ground, I'm going to use that. I'm going to validate it as that. I'm going to go into that other sphere, make it invisible. So now all right, so let's see. And I can start moving it around. Turning it into rock. It won't take too long. We just want a platform. It's softer. For him to stand on. Has a little bit of interesting stuff going on down below, and I'll probably copy and paste a few shapes in there just to break it up. This is just the main form. Thinking what I'm going to do is to just paint this as I go. Paint every part of it and before I move on to the next part. In the interest of, I'm going to turn off symmetry for a second. Just think that'll keep it interesting for me too. So duplicate that. Duplicate that. One there. Duplicate that. All right, that's a nice little start. I'm going to take all those, merge them. That didn't quite cut it. Let's see. Damn. That's higher res than I wanted it to be. So let's turn it to this. Not bad. Not bad at all. Totally doable. Totally paintable. It'll look nice. I can add some detail. But right now I can probably draw some rock kind of shapes. Maybe the shape of some of the vegetation, although I was going to add that with geometry as well. At least show it where it's going to go. So we keep these shapes big and loose, reflecting, always glancing back at my original picture. This is keeping in the spirit of that picture. This is the left side. We're back on the front. So personally, I think it looks just like the original, except it has more character. These forms have been enunciated. The forms have been enunciated. And that's got something of interest from pretty much any angle. From the left side, it's kind of what I had in there. This music reminds me of so many weird grocery stores that I've walked through at weird hours over the years. When you're in some town, you don't know the town. You need milk. All right, feeling good about this. Maybe I want some pinches too. Maybe not pinch, crease. No, what's the opposite of crease? Inverted crease. Do I want these? I kind of. That looks cool. It's an alien world, so. Maybe just not everywhere, just. And some of the texture across the top. All right, that's cool. That's good. All right, let's paint this. That is not the material that I want. Ooh, matte material. I want it dirty. I want a big ass brush. I'm just gonna cover everything. This is one place like I don't use layers a lot when I paint. I try to do it when I paint 3D models and this stuff. Will probably make sense. I just although what I painted is probably going to be considered on the base, not on that layer, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to cut this layer in half. Almost do what I did for the sketch, but we're doing it in color now. I'm also going to use a different alpha. Use one of my custom ones. Do a dusting over the outsides of these. Leave those darks on the insides. This is not the only way to do this. I'm talking about my way. So I always feel like I should enunciate that. I used Sculptris and Cheetah 3D for a long time. That's how I kind of developed this workflow. It's almost certainly not for everybody. So now I'm going to go back in those creases with the darks. I should probably make a new layer to do this actually. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? Collapse that stuff down. We got a nice new sexy layer. Give our shadows a little more ass. Yeah, in Cheetah and Sculptris, you could do a rudimentary version of this, but never quite as good. So it's a pleasure to use Nomad now. All right, that's nice and stony. Okay, one thing I'm going to do is for that hand painted look, I am going to go on the tops of all these forms. And it's not going to get crisp because this is a pretty low resolution. I don't want it crisp. I just want to have one more layer of tooth to everything. It might actually be the best color I'm using. Yeah, it's almost a shadow again. Oh, it looks good. It looks good enough. I'm going to do the same for a base layer of grass. New layer. Maybe go some yucky green. Big size. Mossy. Make it so that you can't see any of that stone through there. So it's like that. The moss just sort of continues. Just for coherence. And then go across the top. The iPad fell, y'all. Let's darken that just a little bit. circuit later. Islands. Just a little blurb. It's from the back. This is from the front. Let's take that wire. All right, that's a start. Let's remesh it. And give it some proper creases and such. Oops, I've got try this. I don't know if this is the solution we need. Oh no, 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 no. No, 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 oh my God. It's interesting how it relaxes. Not smooth. Yeah, I'm curious what this looks like with the rendering, with the aces on, maybe a couple lights on it. I didn't really figure out a light source for the guy. Maybe this little scanner should be the light source. It keeps it pretty interesting. Primary shapes, secondary shapes, tertiary shapes. More or less. Let's take the wireframe off it. And it loses a lot of contrast. So we had occlusion. Oh, well, it's just what I wanted. Tone mapping. Oh, look at that. Oh. Color grading. Something. That seems a little crazy. Right, that's pretty much what I was after. Like it. All right, well, we got something started. A little bit of pink underlight. A bit of golden overlight. I can see this becoming a model of some kind. That's why it's kind of important for that base coat to be neutral, and so that it can take on the characteristics of the light and shines on it. So I want to keep them. I don't want to show. Yeah, I really don't know how to change that. All right. I'm going to do some little clusters of grass. I'm going to make this bigger. So, in order to make grass, I'm going to start with some boxes. Believe it or not. Look at the resolution of that box. Then take the symmetry off. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not good enough. Let's try it again. Let's get that. Low. Flat subdivision. Yeah. Validate. All right. That's about the level we want for grass. Take the symmetry off. We'll scale it down. So yeah, maybe not grass, maybe big leafy shapes. I'm still going to move it around. That is super low poly. Paints it a little bit lighter than the other stuff. It's just force paint. Kind of bladey. All right, so let's duplicate that. Spray across, yeah. Let's merge those. It's just simple merging, we call it a day. turn off our, let me see how it looks. Duplicate it. Rotate it. Duplicate it. And scale it up right there. Rotate it and add it to that part. So it becomes kind of a different kind of cluster. Simple merge that. Duplicate that. Let's duplicate that again. Yeah. Let's see. Not bad. I need to scale it down just a little. So all right, I think I'm gonna do a few flowers. I got some floating grass there. That's so good. Never a good look. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do a few flowers, or I'm gonna do one flower and we'll repeat it. And then save the character for tomorrow or the very next time that I can get to it. break this up into two distinct halves. Might be able to do the stone with the glyph in it too, because that, I guess we'll use masking for that. This stuff, I'm certainly never trying to rush it. It's about making something cool. In my mind, I'm thinking about making it as, I won't do this most likely, but I'm thinking about it as a toy. Is this a toy that I would buy, or would it look cool on the shelf? Could it be made? I'll be back in just a moment. All right, I'm going to bring my reference image back in. And just visualize where those flowers would be. So I'm going to add the top of everything. Cylinder, and I'm going to make it very simple. Very tall. Very skinny. You're still taller still. Validate it with that. You go to paint. Just force paint it. And I'm going to move it just a little bit. So it's not ramrod straight. Just on top of that. I think a cone. Let's try a cone. Not too. Hardly ever use cones for anything. Like all the others, drop that resolution way down. Squat. Simple merge it together. I have control over the whole scale of it. So that's pretty nice. You don't have to be too detailed for this stuff because let's turn that around. You know, the effect is gotten from distance in the totality of everything together is what gives us the effect. It doesn't have to be crazy rendered. Let's duplicate that again. Especially for our goals. So maybe some little white flowers on the ground too. We'll do those a little bit different, I guess. Well, let's do them cones too. Let's add a cone. Turn it upside down. Make it crazy low res. Make it not very high. Crazy wide. And 20. Actually, let's keep it big for a minute. sideways. Validate it. Paint it white. Force paint it. Duplicate it, of course. That. Tilt it around a little. Okay, we got that little cluster there. Together, submerge it. Duplicate that. Rotate it. Scale it down just a little. Duplicate it again. Take it over here. Tilt it. To this. See how that looks. Not too bad. Too bad. Looking a lot like an alien world. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it off here and do the character tomorrow. This gives us a good environment for him. Sort of a start aesthetically. I'd like to keep that low poly look as much as possible. Definitely like he's a character in a game or built to be a toy. Or something like that. So yeah, we'll start from here and get into the it's very much like what the sketch looked like, huh? Yeah, I can picture putting him on there. Might need to be a little bit wider. Certainly have to scoot the flowers around it. Get some variety of color in there. But it's a good start. This little hero missing an ear, replaced by robotic half head, robotic arm. He got damaged pretty bad, this guy. So, all All right. Well, that's the end of this broadcast. I appreciate you tuning in. If you did tune in, we will do it again as soon as possible.